Hello and welcome to our programme, which summarises the main debates in the plenary session of the European Parliament, here in Strasbourg. EPP-ED Group shapes the European strategy for economic recovery. Parliament approves stricter rules to make maritime transport safer. Easier life for small and medium-sized businesses with the adoption of the new European Company Statute. Next week, EU leaders meet in Brussels to continue their discussions on the measures to be taken to cope with the economic downturn. Following a debate in plenary in which the EPP-ED Group shaped the proposal against socialist objection, MEPs voted in favour of the economic recovery plan proposed by the European Commission.
Leaders of the European Union and its institutions continue to work relentlessly to deal with an economic crisis described as unprecedented. Ahead of next week's summit, Parliament has debated and laid down its expectations for the future in a resolution which approves the Commission's recovery plan for the European economy. Commission President José Manuel Barroso underlined the importance of the EU pursuing its efforts for the completion of the single market, as this would provide solutions for the sustainable development of the European economy.
The single market is the best possible platform for recovery. In 2006 alone, Europe was richer by 240 billion euros, or the equivalent to 518 euros for every European citizen, because of the single market. The European Council should cement its place at the heart of our recovery strategy by agreeing principles that should shape the European recovery, including a shared commitment to openness and a level playing field internally and externally. So clearly rejecting protectionism, but of course protecting the single market, the bedrock of European prosperity.
Joseph Daul, chairman of the EPP-ED Group, emphasized the importance of the forthcoming summit.
Ce sommet doit être celui de l'affirmation de la force.
This summit should confirm the strength and determination of Europe in times of crisis. Europe has demonstrated its strength in the past by adopting the rules of a social market economy. These limit the effects of a crisis without precedent, affecting regions across the world. Europe also proved its power when, 10 years ago, it put in place a single currency, the euro, which is holding its own in testing times. But a strong Europe should not be a protectionist Europe. Europe can protect its citizens by virtue of its regulations, but cannot act as a fortress. The way out of the crisis will be found not by looking inwards, but in openness and in defining who we are.
EPP-ED joined forces with the Liberal Group to form a majority strategy for a lasting recovery. Group Vice Chairman Gunnar Hökmark from Sweden steered the discussion towards a strong focus on securing the bank sector rather than on generosity with state aid. The emphasis was not on the preservation of old jobs, but rather on the creation of new and competitive jobs.
This debate is about jobs and new prosperity. And that's why I'm a little bit surprised when I've heard from the socialist group critics to those who have been responsible for real politics in this Europe. Because, Mr. President, the socialists have more than anyone else called for lower interest rates at the peak of economy, just as they implemented the monetary policy in the US.
Gunnar Hökmark was rightly upset with the socialist leader in Parliament for his populist criticism of those leaders in Europe that handled the real economy and the crisis.
And Mr. Schulz, I think you should feel thankful for the fact that Europe and European Central Bank didn't listen to you. Because if you had, European economy would have been much worse off.
MEPs also debated a set of measures to further improve maritime safety. The Maritime package was adopted in a vote on Wednesday, bringing the measures into law. Gunnar Larsson and Stephen Jones have this report.
European ships will be safer and action taken in the event of accidents will be swifter. This is the purpose of the EU's third Maritime package, which has passed 2 readings in Parliament and negotiations between Parliament and the European Council. Spanish MEP Luis de Grandes Pascual introduced 2 of 8 reports dealing with the package. During the plenary debate, he referred to the Erika and Prestige accidents, which both caused considerable damage to nature and wildlife, releasing thousands of tons of oil into the sea. But he also underlined the economic importance of the European shipping industry.
Hemos extraído las lecciones de nuestro pasado.
We have learnt the lessons of the past and need to avoid such things happening again. At the same time, Europe cannot afford to underestimate the strategic value of its maritime sector for the economy, as 90% of EU external trade derives from the sea, as well as 40% of trade within the EU.
Se realiza por mar, así como el 40% de nuestro comercio intracomunitario.
De Grandes Pascual was pleased with what has been accomplished in the maritime package. New measures will reduce the risk of future accidents and speed up action taken to prevent such accidents from causing severe harm to our shores and to maritime life. Member states will discharge their obligations as flag states by establishing common rules and standards for classification organisations. There will be mutual recognition of classification certificates.
Aplaudo la decisión final adoptada.
I am very satisfied with the final decision. Every member state should establish an independent authority with necessary resources and staff, which will decide quickly and after a detailed evaluation of the risks, whether or not in the event of an accident, the best thing to do is to order a ship in distress to go to a refugee port.
French MEP Dominique Vlasto introduced another part of the maritime package, state inspections at ports. In tough negotiations, she ensured that there will be new rules to improve the standard of ships in European ports. Those ships repeatedly in breach of rules could be put on an EU-wide blacklist.
Mais le point le plus satisfaisant de nos négociations avec le Conseil.
The most satisfying outcome of our negotiations with the Council is that repeated bad behaviour will be punished. Inspections at our ports may lead to temporary denial of access and a ban on navigation in our waters. This could result in a permanent ban on entering European ports and on anchoring in European waters. The vessels banned by these measures are really garbage bins.
Inspections will be more regular, and the worst ships frequenting European waters and ports will be turned away. Hopes are that in the future Europe will see fewer environmental disasters caused by substandard ships and poor coordination in rescue efforts when accidents have already occurred.
A new statute for European private companies was also on the agenda this week. Adopted by a large majority, the statute aims to make life easier for small and medium-sized businesses. Thomas Bickel brings us the details.
Bringing new opportunities to smaller companies in Europe will be one of the results of a new European statute for private companies, which was adopted by Parliament this week. The statute will make it easier for companies to do business across European borders by reducing administrative red tape. EPP-ED member Klaus-Heiner Lehne explains the benefits of the new European company statute.
We think it is right that all issues relating to capital or liability are addressed at a European level, because these are the very problems small and medium-sized enterprises face when they have to deal with various entirely different national company forms. They often need substantial legal advice, which can now be done away with, thanks to the new European Company Statute.
The new private company statute will make it easier for European businesses to set up branches and subsidiaries in other EU countries. It aims to give small and medium-sized companies, which account for around 50% of EU gross national product, the same market opportunities from which corporate companies already benefit. The minimum capital requirement for the new company status is just €1, if the company can prove it is solvent. If there is no justifiable proof of solvency, the minimum capital requirement is €8,000. If a final deal with Parliament can be found before the end of the year, the new pan-European company statute could take effect as from mid-2010.
This programme was brought to you by the press service of the EPP-ED Group, the driving force in the European Union. For an extensive version of the report, log on to our website, epp-ed.eu. Thanks for watching and see you again soon.